In this video, we'll review how to update resource and resource types belonging to different organizations. Prior to upgrading to 4.5.0, these changes can be made, but please note you may not need to make changes to your inventory data. To see if this issue occurs in your instance, go to the System Checkup report by first selecting the Reports menu, then Other Reports. System Checkup Report is the last option. If any results appear on the screen, you may want to address these issues prior to upgrade. Let's review what the issue is. As you know, resources are assigned to a resource type. Resources belong to a checkout center. A checkout center is assigned to an organization. Resource types are assigned to an organization. With this in mind, there are two scenarios that create an organizational mismatch. Scenario 1. Resource type has subtypes that belong to a different organization than its parent resource type. For example, resource type B has subtype B2. Resource type B belongs to organization B, but its subtype, resource type B2, belongs to organization C. As you can see, the organizations do not match. Scenario 2. Resource is assigned to a resource type whose organization is different from the resource's checkout center organization. For example, Resource A belongs to Checkout Center A, and Checkout Center A belongs to Organization A. Resource A belongs to resource type B, that's assigned to Organization B. As you can see, the organizations for the type and the resource do not match, creating an organizational mismatch. With these two scenarios, there is an organizational mismatch which must be addressed prior to upgrade, or the upgrade will programmatically resolve the mismatch. In this video, we'll discuss two main questions. Why do changes need to be made to resource and resource type data? And how can these changes be made? So, why do these changes need to be made? Beginning in version 4.5.0, a resource and its resource type must be managed by the same organization. This means that resource types and their subtypes must belong to the same organization, and resources can only belong to checkout centers managed by the same organization its resource type belongs to. Resources can no longer be assigned to checkout centers outside of the resource type's organization. This change allows for better control of who has access to resource types and the policies and authorization requirements. If resources and resource types are not updated prior to 4.5.0, WebCheckout will solve the issues itself. Here's how. During the 4.5.0 upgrade, WebCheckout will first update any resource subtypes with a different organization than its parent resource type. Those subtypes will be assigned to the same organization as its parent resource type, so that they belong to the same organization. Next, WebCheckout will handle resources assigned to a resource type at another organization. Resources will remain in their assigned checkout center. However, WebCheckout will create a new resource type that is a duplicate of the original resource type, but assigned to the same organization as the resource's checkout center. The resource will move to its new resource type. The new duplicated resource type will fall under a common parent resource type called 4.5 migrated resource types. With this update, the original resource type nested structure will no longer be available for the resource. Only the resource's parent type will be duplicated. Now, how can these issues be fixed? To fix these issues, first we'll need to look at the data in WebCheckout and identify what needs to be corrected. We'll be using the System Checkup Report and the new 450 Upgrade Review presets on the Find Resources and Find Resource Type screen. Let's begin by checking the System Checkup Report. The System Checkup Report will check for two main issues: resource types with parent resource types in another organization, and resources with resource types assigned to a different managing organization. First, let's review how to fix resource types with parent resource types in a different organization. If these changes are not made prior to the 450 upgrade, WebCheckout will resolve this issue by automatically updating subtype organization to the same organization as its parent resource type. To fix the issue prior to upgrade, you will need to assign the subtype to the same organization of its parent resource type. This can be done via the import files to update the resource type data en masse, or in the Admin tab of the Resource Type Details screen by updating the organization. We recommend addressing the resource types first before moving to issues with the resources. Let's review how to update the resource type organization using the import files. First, let's generate a report of resource types that need to be adjusted. Select Resources, then Find Types. Select 4.5 Upgrade Review Types next to Search Presets. Now, remove the Organization search filter by clicking the X to the right of the field. This will enable searching through all organizations and all resource types. Select Find. The report will automatically populate with 4 columns: Resource Type, RTID, Organization, and Resource Type Org Path. The Resource Type column is the identifiable resource type name. The RTID column includes the unique ID for that resource type. The Organization column includes the organization the resource type belongs to. And the Resource Type Org Path includes the parent resource types and the organizations they belong to. Note the organization that the resource type and the parent resource type belongs to. You will need to move the resource type to the same organization of its parent resource type. Select Export As, then Export Importable, to generate a CSV of all importable fields and all the information included in the resource type detail. Open the CSV and copy and paste the parent organization from the Find Resource Type screen into the organization field on the CSV. Update the organization field for all resource types on the CSV, then save the document. Import the updated resource type file with a blank resource import file that only includes the headers. A blank resource import file can be downloaded using the links below. Once the import is complete, run the System Checkup Report again to ensure that there are no issues that appear under R types with parents in another org. If issues do appear, rerun the 450 Upgrade Review Types and make the necessary changes. To update the resource type organization manually, simply note the parent type org, then select the resource type name. This will load the resource type detail screen. Select the Admin tab, then update the organization. Now, let's review how to fix resource and resource type organization mismatch. This is a second issue that appears on the System Checkup Report. If these changes are not made prior to the upgrade, WebCheckout will programmatically update the resources assigned to the resource types at another organization. Resources will remain in their assigned checkout center. However, WebCheckout will create a new resource type that is a duplicate of the original resource type but assigned to the same organization as the Resources Checkout Center. The resource will be moved to the new resource type. The new duplicated resource type will fall under a common parent resource type called 4.5 migrated resource type. With this update, the original resource type nested structure will not be duplicated. Only the resource parent type will be duplicated. For those with resources in a graveyard or decommissioned checkout center, we recommend letting WebCheckout handle these issues at upgrade. Again, the resources will remain in the assigned checkout center, just move to a new resource type. To correct this issue, we recommend updating the information in steps, which may require importing multiple times. For this issue, there are 4 different scenarios you may be correcting. Let's review each of these scenarios. Resources that were accidentally assigned to the wrong checkout center. Resources in the correct checkout center, but the types belong to the wrong organization. Resource type that includes resources that belong to different checkout centers under different managing organizations. And resources that were moved to a graveyard or decommissioned checkout center, but are still assigned to the original resource type. Now, let's review how to correct each of these scenarios. Remember, changes can be made either en masse using the resource and resource type import files, or manually in WebCheckout. The first scenario, resources assigned to the wrong checkout center, can be solved by moving the resource to the correct checkout center. This can be done en masse by updating the checkout center column of the resource import file. You can also update the checkout center manually in the Admin tab of the Resource Details screen by selecting Change Checkout Center. To update en masse, we'll begin by creating an importable CSV of resources that appear in the System Checkup Report. From the Find Resource screen, select the 4.5 Upgrade Review preset and remove the Checkout Center field to search for resources globally. Select Find, then select Export As, then Export Importable. Update the Checkout Center column to move resources into the correct checkout center. Save the CSV document, then import this document along with a blank resource type file that includes only the headers. You can download a blank resource type file using the links below. For the second scenario, a resource that is assigned to the correct checkout center, but the resource type belongs to the wrong organization, we recommend moving the entire resource type nested structure to the correct organization. This scenario applies to entire resource type structures that only have resources managed by a single organization. Be sure that other resource types nested in this resource type tree are not assigned resources managed by other organizations. To resolve this scenario, move the entire resource type structure to the correct organization. Moving the entire resource type structure will ensure that the same nested structure still appears on both the Timeline Scheduler and the Patron portal. First, let's generate a report of resources and resource types where the organizations do not match. Select Resources, then Find Resources. Select 450 Upgrade Review, then remove the Checkout Center search filter by clicking the X next to the filter. Select Find. This report will be used for informative purposes and may be ran multiple times. If you would like to export all information that appears on the report, select Export As, then Export CSV. We will be using the information found in the R-Type org path column to move resource type structures. Let's export and update the organization of the resource type structure. Select Resources, then Find Types. Remove the organization search filter. Select Add Search Term, then Ancestor. Copy and paste the first resource type that appears in the R-Type Org Path column into the Ancestor search field. Select Find. This will display all resource types under the root resource type. Select Export As, then Export Importable. This file will include the nested resource types. Update the organization field to the managing organization of the resource. Save the updated CSV. Then import with a blank resource import file that only includes the headers. You can download a copy of a blank resource import file using the links below. For the third scenario, resource types with resources that belong to different checkout centers under different managing organizations, we recommend duplicating the resource type tree into each organization. This will ensure each checkout center keeps the same nested resource type structure in the Timeline Scheduler and in Patron Portal. To duplicate resource type trees, we recommend using the resource and resource type import file. Resource type names can be copied, but with new, unique RTIDs, and resources will need to be assigned the new RTIDs. Let's begin by generating a resource and resource type import file for the resources and types with different managing orgs. From the Find Resource Type screen, select 450 Upgrade Review Resources, then select Find. Select Export As, then Export Importable. This will export the resource type import file. Now, from the Find Resource screen, select the 450 Upgrade Review and omit the Checkout Center search filter. Then select Find. Select Export As, then Export Importable. This will export the resource import file. We will be using both import files and the information on the Find Resource screen to duplicate resource type structures. Let's start by duplicating resource types on the resource type import file. To duplicate types, copy and paste the resource type name. Be sure to do this for the entire nested structure. Now, assign a new, unique RTID to these resource types. Rebuild the nested structures by copying and pasting the RTID of the parent resource type into the parent column of the appropriate resource type. Once resource types have been duplicated, save the CSV and open the resource import file. On the resource import file, copy and paste the appropriate RTID into the RTID column of the resource. Make sure the organizations match for both the resource and the resource types. Once RTIDs are updated, save the CSV. Import both the updated resource and resource type file. For the final scenario, resources that were moved to a graveyard or decommissioned checkout center, we recommend either assigning all graveyard resources to a common resource type, which is at the correct organization, duplicating or moving the entire resource type tree into the graveyard organization, or allowing WebCheckout to fix this issue during the upgrade process. To create or assign all graveyard or decommissioned resources to a common resource type, create a new resource type. Then assign the resources to that resource type by copying and pasting the RTID into the RTID field on the resource import file. To move or duplicate the entire resource type tree to the graveyard organization, update the organization column on the resource type file or copy and paste the resource type names onto the resource type file and assign a new unique RTID to create a new resource type of the same name in the new organization. Rebuild the nested structures using the new RTIDs and assign the graveyard resources to the new resource type by updating the RTID column on the resource import file. You could also allow WebCheckout to fix the issue during the upgrade process. The resource will remain in its checkout center, and WebCheckout will solve this issue by creating a duplicate of the resource type that the resource is assigned to at the correct managing organization. This resource type will belong to a root resource type of 4-5 migrated resource types. This will apply to all resources assigned to a resource type managed by a different organization. Before we end this video, we want to leave you with a few helpful tips. Complete these data changes in steps, such as moving one resource type tree at a time. This will help make the process more manageable. Be sure, when updating resource and resource type information, that you are doing so from an exported and portable file, as to not lose any resource and resource type data. Remember, any information left off or omitted from these files, such as barcodes, descriptions, or contained resources, will be removed from the resource or resource type information in WebCheckout. Solve all issues that appear in the top section of the System Checkup report under R-Type with a parent in another org, before fixing issues under the bottom header. Run the System Checkup report several times before scheduling your upgrade to ensure all issues have been corrected. Remember, changing data may create additional issues before all are resolved. Finally, WebCheckout will handle these issues at upgrade. These changes are not required and may not even apply to your instance. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or need additional help moving resources and types, please email implementation@webcheckout.net.